Be modest in your dressing. Know that you are not dressing for yourself, just for you to look good, but there are people that are watching you. There are people that look at you as a role model. There are people that look up to you. So every time you are dressing, you are influencing a generation. Hello and welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Brother Wellington. If you're a new subscriber, please consider subscribing and let's have this conversation going. So today we are on the third episode of Praise and Worship, vibes and just discussion to look at matters, praise and worship leaders at large. And so today we are looking at dress code, and we want to just dissect this topic and understand more. Why is it important for us to, put on clothes in a certain way, behave in a certain way? Because dressing goes beyond the physical clothing that people have, even though it begins from that particular point. Is it an important a thing when it is brought in a worship team? Or is it just, a cliche that happens in day-to-day life and people just want to feel good? And so it is important for us to look at some of this so that then we can be able to have a solid a reason why we must be able to have a certain or dress in a certain way in the worship teams. Now, what does the Bible say concerning dressing or concerning the dress codes? Is it written in the Bible? Is it indicated anywhere about the worshippers, dressing in a certain way, or anybody being given instructions on how to be able to dress? And let's first of all go into the Bible in the book of First Chronicles chapter 15, and verse number 27. And in this particular place, we are looking at a scenario where David, together with other leaders of Israel, are going to pick, the Ark of Covenant. And so they are going with priests and they are going with singers. And so how were singers dressed in this particular occasion? The Bible says that, and David was dressed in fine linen, as were all the other Levites who were who bore the ark. Then the Bible says that the singers, and Chenaina, and the music master with the singers, David also, they wore a fine linen. Na David pia alikuwa na ephod. And so we are looking at a scenario and we can picture in our heads David having a fine linen, and they were dressed in a certain way even as they were doing ministry that day. So dressing in a certain way gives us identity. It tells people that we belong in a certain place. It tells people that we are organized. It tells people that we have a certain purpose, and there is a reason we have dressed in that particular style. And so dressing is a communication in itself. The way people will look at the way you dress, and then they will have a certain perception about you. There is a way they will think about you, either as a serious person in whatever thing that you're doing, or you're just trying to do that, but the real message that you're communicating is something else. And so it is important for us to know that dressing is very, very, very key. Number two, dressing shows order in a team. So when you dress, you portray a picture of orderliness in a team, that you are not just a singer, but you are a singer that understands order and respects others. So you've left the other kind of attire that you have that could even be better than the one that you're being given, but you are able to just humble down and dress in that for the sake of order. And then it also shows, occasion, the institution, the department, because in other places you'll find different departments putting on different kinds or different sets of uniform. And so it is important for us to know that dressing is a message. The kind of dressing or the way you dress as you go to minister to the audience or to the congregation is a message in itself. And sometimes people can dress in a certain way that will prevent people, or rather you will prevent yourself from being heard by the audience that you're ministering to because of the way you look. So what are we saying in a nutshell? Worship leader, be modest in your dressing. Know that you are not dressing for yourself, just for you to look good, but there are people that are watching you. There are people that look at you as a role model. There are people that look up to you. So every time you are dressing, you are influencing a generation. So be modest in your dressing. Thank you so much for listening and just tuning in even to this conversation. May God bless you. So if you're new to this channel, please consider subscribing and let's have this conversation going. Share this particular episode with praise and worship members, with singers and worship leaders. And if you have a comment, please indicate it or write it down there in the comment section, and we'll be able to get back to you even in the next episode. So thank you so much. We love you. See you on the next episode.